Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasade Gaurabhakta Vrinda
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasade Gaurabhakta Vrinda
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Bol Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Bol Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Bol Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Bol Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Bol Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Hari Bol Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Hari Bol Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama.
Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama.
Krishna.
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama.
Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Krishna.
Gopala Govinda Rama. Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama.
Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Krishna.
Gopala Govinda Rama.
Krishna.
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama. Madana Mohana.
Haribol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama.
Haribol Krishna.
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama.
Haribol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Haribol Krishna.
Gopala Govinda Rama.
Haribol Krishna.
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama.
Haribol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Krishna.
Gopala Govinda Rama. Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama.
Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Haribol Krishna.
Gopala Govinda Rama. Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana. Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Haribol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gauranga. Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Haribol Krishna.
Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda.
Krishna,
Ananda Paramahamsa.
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda. Ananda Paramahamsa.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda. Paramahamsa Namine. Gora Karuna Swarupaya. Radha Krishna Prestaya.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine. Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prasayate.
Horrible Namaste. So today we'll discuss again the subject matter that pertains to our true essence, transcendental nature. And I'll read here what we read last time, and it's about the vision of the universal form. So the process we follow is based upon the narrative descending coming from the instructing spiritual master. So the instructing spiritual master, the source is Lord Krishna. So when one is fortunate enough to come in contact with the representative of God and he listens and hear the message, the transcendental message, or the wisdom that is eternal about our relationship with the Supreme Person. So, one main reason we read the pastimes of Lord Krishna, because this pastime is one of the narrative descending coming from the instructing spiritual master. So one time, my spiritual master was here in the Philippines, Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, our Gurudev. And someone said, I want to join. How can I join, Srila Prabhupada? And he said, what will you join? You want to join, you join the baseball team or the basketball team. You know? There's no joining here. And someone is speaking and said, I believe. What do you believe? So the science of understanding the absolute concerning about our true transcendental nature, about the Supreme Person, Govinda, material nature, all in all, the source is Lord Krishna. And to have this wisdom, we must learn it from his representative, the spiritual master. So you don't need to believe. What we should be doing is to listen and hear the science. And then that science connects us, our life, our heart, our whole being, for what we're searching. We're looking for joy and happiness. So with this wisdom, eternal transcendental wisdom, when you hear it and you faithfully listen and apply the instruction, how we can understand and comprehend it, to be situated in the world that is transcendental and be able to move with wisdom, with clarity, how we can be in harmony with the Supreme Person, loving the Supreme Person, knowing Him. So I'll read here the pastimes of Lord Krishna, the narrative coming from Lord Vyasadeva. This has been translated into English by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, who is coming in the long line of spiritual master, who is the dearmost spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, Jagad Guru Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa. So it points to the absolute reality that our spiritual master, he sat down and listened to his spiritual master. He has a spiritual master. He's teaching because he followed the process. He became a student of the spiritual master and learned the science. Okay? So the saintly person gives us guidance. So when the devotees they want to know about anything that concerns with the Supreme Person, what's happening, they approach the spiritual master. And in this case, during that time, Gargamuni, the spiritual master of the Yadu dynasty, he came to discuss about the questions, about what they want to know about this beautiful, lovely child who has supernatural powers. Who is he? Why is he here? And How come he performs supernatural activities? The vision of the universal form. Because during we have heard different pastimes of Lord Krishna, killing of the Putana demon, Trinabarta, Agasura, lifting of Govardhan Hill, and in this situation now, it's the universal vision of the universal form. After this incident, Vasudeva asked his family priest, Gargamuni, to visit the place of Nanda Maharaj in order to astrologically calculate the future life of Krishna. Gargamuni was a great saintly sage who underwent many austerities and penances and was appointed priest of the Yadu dynasty. So he's teacher by example. When Gargamuni arrived at the home of Nanda Maharaj was very pleased to see him and immediately stood up with folded hands and offered his respectful obeisances. He received Gargamuni with the feeling of one who is worshipping God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He offered him a nice sitting place, and when he sat down, Nanda Maharaj offered him a warm reception, addressing him very politely and said, "My dear Brahmana, your appearance in a householder's place is only to enlighten them. We are always engaged in household duties and are forgetting our real duty of self-realization. Your coming to our house is to give us some enlightenment about spiritual life. You have no other purpose to visit householders. Actually, a saintly person or a Brahmana has no business visiting householders who are always busy in the matter of dollars and cents. If it is asked, why don't the householder go to saintly person or a Brahmana for enlightenment? The answer is that householders are very poor-hearted. Generally, householder thinks that their engagement in family affairs is their prime duty and that self-realization or enlightenment in spiritual knowledge is secondary. Out of compassion, only saintly person and Brahmanas go to householders' home." Nanda Maharaj addressed Gargamuni as one of the great authorities in astrological science. The foretelling of astrological science, such as the occurrence of the solar and lunar eclipse, are wonderful calculation. And by this particular science, a person can understand the future very clearly. So hindi to hula-hula na tumu-tumu. They calculate it mathematically. The distance of the different planets, the sun, the days, the hours. It's a science. My friend, one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, he's an astrologer. Gargamuni was proficient in this knowledge. By this knowledge, one can understand his previous activities, where by the result of such activities, one may enjoy or suffer his life. Nanda Maharaj addressed Gargamuni as the best of the Brahmanas. A Brahmana is one who is expert in the knowledge of the Supreme. Without knowledge of the Supreme Absolute Truth, one cannot be recognized as a Brahmana. The exact word used in this connection is Brahma Bidam, which means that those who know the Supreme very well. An expert Brahmana is able to give reformatory facilities to the sub-cases, namely the Kshatriyas, the warriors, and Vaishyas. The Sudras observe no reformatory performances. The Brahmana is considered to be the spiritual master or priest for the Kshatriya and Vaishya. Nanda Maharaj happened to be a Vaishya and accepted Gargamuni as a first-class Brahmana. He therefore offered his two foster sons, namely Krsna and Balaram, to him to purify. He agreed that only these boys, but in all human beings just after birth, should accept a qualified Brahmana as a spiritual master. So it's a practice, a common cultural practice that they were exposed during that time, and it's very common for them that they introduce their sons and they accept a spiritual master and learn the science of the divine, the difference between matter and life, and understand the Supreme Person. Upon this request, Garga Muni replied, Vasudeva has sent me to see the reformatory performance of these boys, especially Krishna. I am their family priest, and incidentally, it appears to me that Krishna is the son of Devaki. By this, his astrological calculation, Garga Muni could understand that Krishna was the son of Devaki, but he was being kept under the care of Nanda Maharaj, which Nanda did not know. Indirectly, he said that Krishna as well as Balaram were both sons of Vasudeva. Balaram was known as the son of Vasudeva, and because his mother Rohini was present there, but Nanda Maharaj did not know about Krishna. Garga Muni indirectly disclosed the fact that Krishna was the son of Devaki. Garga Muni also warned Nanda Maharaj that if he would perform the reformatory ceremony, then Kamsa, who was naturally very sinful, would understand that Krishna was the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. According to astrological calculation, Devaki could not have a female child. Although everyone thought that the eighth child of Devaki was female, in this way Garga Muni intimated to Nanda Maharaj that the female child was born of Yasoda and that Krishna was born of Devaki. And they were exchanged. The female child, or Durga, also informed Kamsa that the child who would kill him was already born somewhere else. Garga Muni stated, if I give your child a name, and if he fulfills the prophecy of the female child to Kamsa, then it may be that the sinful demon will come and kill this child, also after the name-giving ceremony. But I do not want to become responsible for all these future calamities. On hearing the words of Garga Muni, Nanda Maharaj said, if there is such danger, then it's better not to plan any gorgeous name-giving ceremony. It would be better for you to simply chant the Vedic hymns and perform purificatory process. We belong to the twice-born caste, and I am taking this opportunity of your presence. So please perform the name-giving ceremony without external pomp. Nanda Maharaj wanted to keep the name-giving ceremony a secret and yet take advantage of Garga Muni's performing the ceremony. When Garga Muni was so eagerly requested by Nanda Maharaj, he performed the name-giving ceremony as secretly as possible in the cowshed of Nanda Maharaj. He informed Nanda Maharaj that Balaram, the son of Rohini, would be very pleasing to his family members and relatives and therefore would be called Rama. In the future, he would be extraordinarily strong and therefore would be called Balaram. Garga Muni said further, because your family and the family of the Yadus are so intimately connected and attracted, therefore his name will also be Sankarsan. That means that Garga Muni awarded 3 names to the son of Rohini, namely Balaram, Sankarsan, and Baladev. But he carefully did not disclose the fact that Balaram also appeared in the womb of Devaki and was also subsequently transferred to the womb of Rohini. Krishna and Balaram are real brothers, being originally the sons of Devaki. Garga Muni then informed Nanda Maharaj, as far as the other boy is concerned, this child has taken different bodily complexion in different yugas or millennia. First of all, he assumed the color white, then he assumed the color red, then the color yellow, and now he assumed the color black. Beside that, he was formerly the son of Vasudeva. Therefore, his name should be Vasudeva as well as Krishna. Some people will call him Krishna and some will call him Vasudeva. But one thing you must know, this son had many other names and activities due to his different pastimes. Garga Muni gave Nanda Maharaj a further hint that his son will also be called Giridhari because of his uncommon pastimes of lifting Govardhan Hill. So Garga Muni can see the future, he can see the past. Since he could understand everything, past and future, he said, I know everything about his activities and name, but others do not know. This child will be very pleasing to all the cowherd men and cows. Being very popular in Vrindavan, he will be the cause of all good fortune for you. Because of His presence, you will overcome all kinds of material calamities despite opposing elements. Gargamuni continued to say, "My dear King of Braja, in his previous birth, this child many times protected righteous person from the hands of rogues and thieves. Whenever there was political disruption, your child is so powerful that anyone who will become a devotee of your boy will never be troubled by the enemies. Just as the demigods are always protected by Lord Vishnu, so the devotees of your child will always be protected by Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This child will grow in power, beauty, opulence, and everything on the level of Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, I would advise you, protect him very carefully so that he may grow without disturbance." Gargamuni further informed Nanda Maharaj that because he was a great devotee of Narayan, Lord Narayan gave a son who is equal to him. At the same time, he indicated, "Your son will be disturbed by so many demons, so be careful and protect him." In this way, Gargamuni convinced Nanda Maharaj that Narayan himself had become his son. In various ways, he described the transcendental qualities of his son. After giving this information, Gargamuni returned to his home. Nanda Maharaj began to think of himself as the most fortunate person, and he was very satisfied to be benedicted in this way. A short time after this incident, both Balaram and Krishna began to crawl on their hands and knees. When they were crawling like that, they pleased their mothers. The bells tied to their waists and ankles sounded fascinating, and they would move around very pleasingly, sometimes just like ordinary children. They would be frightened by others and would immediately hurry to their mothers for protection. Sometimes they would fall into clay and mud of Vrindavan and would approach their mothers smeared with clay and saffron. They were actually smeared with saffron and sandalwood powder by their mothers. But due to crawling over muddy clay, they would simultaneously smear their bodies with clay. As soon as they would come crawling to their mothers, Yasoda and Rohini would take them on their lap and, covering the lower portion of their saris, allow them to suck their breasts. When the babies were sucking their breasts, the mothers would see small teeth coming in. Thus, their joy would be intensified to see their children grow. Sometimes the naughty babies would crawl up to the cowshed, catch the tail of the cow, and stand up. The cows, being disturbed, would immediately begin running here and there, and the children would be dragged over clay and cow dung. To see this fun, Yasoda and Rohini would call all the neighboring friends the gopis. Upon seeing these childhood pastimes of Lord Krishna, the gopis would be very merged in transcendental bliss. In their enjoyment, they would laugh very loudly. Both Krishna and Balaram were so restless that their mothers, Yasoda and Rohini, would try to protect them from the cows, bulls, monkeys, water, fire, and birds. While they were executing their household duties, always being anxious to protect the children and to execute their duties. They were not very tranquil. In a very short time, both Krishna and Balaram began to stand up and slightly move on their legs. When Krishna and Balaram began to walk, other friends of the same age joined them, and together they began to give the highest transcendental pleasure to the gopis, specifically the mother Yasoda and Rohini. All the gopis, friends of Yasoda and Rohini, enjoyed the naughty childish activities of Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan. In order to enjoy further transcendental bliss, they all assembled and went to Mother Yasoda to lodge complaint against the restless boys. When Krishna was sitting before Mother Yasoda, all the elderly gopis began to lodge complaint against him so that Krishna could hear. They said, "Dear Yasoda, why don't you restrict your naughty Krishna? He comes to our house along with Balaram every morning and evening. And before milking of the cows, they let loose the calves, and the calves drink all the milk of the cows. So when we go to milk the cows, we find no milk, and we have to return with empty pots. If we warn Krishna and Balaram about doing this, they simply smile charmingly. We cannot do anything. Also, your Krishna and Balaram finds great pleasure in stealing our stocks of yogurt and butter from wherever we keep it. When Krishna and Balaram are caught stealing the yogurt and the butter, they say, "Why do you charge us with stealing? Do you think that butter and yogurt are in scarcity in our house?" Sometimes they would steal butter and yogurt and milk and distribute them to the monkeys. When the monkeys are well fed and do not take any more, then your boy's child, this milk and butter and yogurt are useless. Even the monkeys won't take it. And they break the pots and throw them hither and thither. If we keep our stocks of yogurt, butter, and milk in a solitary dark place, your Krishna and Balaram find it in darkness by the glaring effulgence of the ornaments and jewels on their bodies. If by chance they cannot find the hidden butter and yogurt, they go to our little babies and pinch their bodies so that they cry, and then they go away. If we keep our stocks of butter and yogurt high on the ceiling, hanging on a swing, although it is beyond their reach, they arrange to reach it by piling all kinds of wooden crates over the grinding machine. And if they cannot reach, they make a hole in the pot. We think, therefore, that you better take all the jeweled ornaments from the bodies of your children. On hearing this, Yasoda would say, "All right, I will take all the jewels from Krishna, so that he cannot see the butter hidden in the darkness." Then the gopis would say, No, don't do this. What good will you do by taking away the jewels? We do not know what kind of boys these are. But even without ornaments, they spread some kinds of effulgence. They spread some kinds of effulgence even in darkness. They can see everything. Then Mother Yasoda would inform them, "All right, keep your butter and the yogurt carefully so that they may not reach it." In reply to this, the gopis said, "Yes, actually we do so, but because we are sometimes engaged in our household duties, these naughty boys enter our house, some or other, and spoil everything. Sometimes, being unable to steal our butter and yogurt out of anger, they pass urine on the clean floor and sometimes spit on it. Just see your boy now. He's hearing this complaint. All day, they simply make arrangement to steal our butter and yogurt. And now they're sitting just like very silent good boys. Just see their face." When Mother Yasoda thought to chastise her boy after hearing all the complaints, she saw his pitiable face, and smiling, she did not chastise him. Another day, when Krishna and Balaram were playing with their friends, all the boys joined Balaram and told Mother Yasoda that Krishna had eaten clay. On hearing this, Mother Yasoda caught hold of Krishna's hand and said, "My dear Krishna, why have you eaten earth in a solitary place? Just see, all your friends, including Balaram, are complaining about you." Being afraid of his mother, Krishna replied, "My dear mother, all these boys, including my elder brother Balaram, are speaking lies against me. I've never eaten clay. My elder brother Balaram, while playing with me today, became angry, and therefore he has joined with other boys to complain against me. They've all combined together to complain, so you will be angry and chastise me. If you think they are truthful, then you can look within my mouth to see whether I have taken clay or not." His mother replied, "All right, if you have actually not taken any clay, then just open your mouth, I shall see." When the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was so ordered by his mother, he immediately opened his mouth, just like an ordinary boy. Then Mother Yasoda saw within that mouth the complete opulence of creation. She saw the entire outer space in all directions, mountains, islands, ocean, seas, planets, air, fire, moon, and stars. Along with the moon and the stars, she also saw the entire elements, water, sky, the extensive ethereal existence, along with the total ego and the products of the senses and the controller of the senses. All the demigods, the subject of the senses, like sound, smell, etc. And these three qualities of material nature, she also could perceive that within his mouth were all living entities, eternal time, material nature, spiritual nature, activity, consciousness, and different forms of the whole creation. Mother Yasoda could find within the mouth of her child everything necessary for cosmic manifestation. She also saw within his mouth herself taking Krishna on her lap and having him sucking her breast. Upon seeing all of this, she became struck with awe and began to wonder whether she was dreaming or actually seeing something extraordinary. She concluded that she was either dreaming or seeing the play of the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She thought that she had become mad, mentally deranged, and to see all those wonderful things. Then she thought, it may be cosmic mystic power attained by my child. Therefore I am perplexed by such vision within his mouth. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, under whose energy, bodily self, and bodily possession are conceived. She then said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, under whose illusory energy I am thinking that Nanda Maharaj is my husband and Krishna is my son, that all the properties of Nanda Maharaj belong to me, and that all the cowherd men and women are my subjects. All this misconception is due to the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. So let me pray to him that he may protect me always. While Mother Yasoda was thinking in this high philosophical way, Lord Krishna again expanded his internal energy just to bewilder her with maternal affection. Immediately, Mother Yasoda forgot all philosophical speculation and accepted Krishna as her own child. She took him on her lap and became overwhelmed with material affection. So, Krishna opened his mouth and Mother Yasoda was able to see the whole cosmic manifestation. Just like when Lord Krishna showed Arjuna the whole cosmic manifestation, or when Akrura, bathing in the holy river, saw the cosmic manifestation of Lord Krishna. But after seeing the cosmic manifestation, Mother Yasoda began to offer in awe, in respect, obeisances to the Supreme Person. And Krishna doesn't like that. He wants the affection of Mother Yasoda, dealing with him, serving him, loving him as a child. So Mother Yasoda returned again in her natural state as a mother, embracing Krishna, feeding Krishna milk through her breast. So this is what she said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, under whose illusory energy I am thinking that Nanda Maharaj is my husband and Krishna is my son, that all the properties of Nanda Maharaj belong to me, and all the cowherd men and women are my subjects. All this misconception is due to the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. So let me pray to him that he may protect me always. While Mother Yasoda was thinking in this high philosophical way, Lord Krishna again expanded his internal energy just to bewilder her with maternal affection. And immediately Mother Yasoda forgot all philosophical speculation and accepted Krishna as her own child. She took him on her lap and became overwhelmed with maternal affection. She thus began to think Krishna is not understandable to the masses through the gross process of knowledge, but he can be received through the Upanishad and the Vedanta, or mystic yoga system, and the Sankhya philosophy. Then she began to think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as her own begotten child. Certainly, Mother Yasoda had executed many pious activities, just as a result of which she got the absolute truth. The Supreme Personality of Godhead as her son, who sucked milk from her breast. Similarly, Nanda Maharaj also must have performed many great sacrifice and pious activities for Lord Krishna to become his son and address him as father. But it is surprising that Vasudeva and Devaki did not enjoy the transcendental bliss of Krishna's childhood pastime, although Krishna was the real son. The childhood pastimes of Krishna also glorified even today by many sages and saintly persons, but Vasudeva and Devaki could not enjoy such childhood pastimes personally. The reason for this was explained by Sukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Pariksit as follows. When the best of the Vasus, of the name Drona, along with his wife Dara, were ordered to increase progeny by Lord Brahma, they said unto him, Dear father, we are seeking your benediction. Drona and Dara then took benediction from Brahma that in the future they would take birth again within the universe. The Supreme Lord Krishna in his most attractive picture of childhood, would absorb their whole attention. Their dealings with Krishna would be so powerful that simply by hearing of Krishna's childhood activities with them, anyone could very easily cross over the science of birth and death. Lord Brahma agreed to give them the benediction. As a result, the same Drona and Dara appeared as Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan, and the same Dara appeared as Mother Yasoda, the wife of Nanda Maharaj. In this way, Nanda Maharaj and his wife, Mother Yasoda, developed their unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, having gotten him as their son. And all the gopis and cowherd men who were associates of Krishna naturally developed their own different feelings of love for Krishna. Therefore, just to fulfill the benediction of Lord Brahma, Lord Krishna appeared with this plenary expansion, Balaram, and performed all kinds of childhood pastimes in order to increase the transcendental pleasure of the residents of Vrindavan. So, after hearing this narrative, we can understand that the science of Bhakti Yoga, everything that happened 5,000 years ago, was already foretold by Garga Muni, how it happened, why it happened. So that is what we should be learning, and we can learn that from God Himself through the descending process coming from the saintly person, who are all representative of the Supreme Person, saintly person. So that's the difference between someone who is not the representative of God and someone who is the confidential loving servant of God. Whatever the spiritual master desire to bless, to fulfill, to please the Supreme Person, it will happen. Krishna will be there to fulfill it. Just like in our narrative before, when Narada Muni saw Nala Kubera and Manigriva naked, intoxicated, engaging in sinful activity in the river, in that lake, the place of Lord Shiva, a holy place, they were intoxicated. So they were cursed. Because you are insensitive, you're engaging in sinful activity, and you are the son of Kubera, one who is a responsible administrator of this universe, serving Krishna, and they forgot about their position, and they were so intoxicated because of the wealth that they have. They were naked with women around them. So Narada Muni saw them, the ladies covered their body, but then they did not cover. So they were cursed that you will appear, because you're insensitive, you'll be born in the bodies of trees, but in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. So Krishna fulfilled it. They were born there as twin Arjuna tree, and what happened? Krishna liberated them. So that is what we should be focusing in our heart, in our desire, that when we are fortunate enough to come in contact with the bona fide spiritual master, we must listen and hear and follow his teachings. Then we are blessed because we are receiving the mercy of Krishna. It's about his love connecting us with his world, the world of harmony in serving God. So that is why we must have someone who, our spiritual master, as the pure loving servant of God. The spiritual master is described in Shastra. He's the Lord from the outside. The Lord is within your heart, side by side with you as Paramatma guiding you. But the problem, can you hear him or you hear your mind? So he gives us a process that in the age of Kali Yuga, the Hare Nama, the yoga sound, descending, coming from Lord Krishna through their lips, that when we chant the holy names, we connect ourselves with the source of everything spiritual or material. We become pleasing to the Supreme Person. And when the Supreme Person, we follow his instruction to approach a bona fide spiritual master and listen and faithfully follow the instruction that will be pleasurable to him when we follow it, because we will be in harmony with his desire to direct our life in loving service, our eternal word of engaging in devotional service. Only the bona fide spiritual master can be that person who can guide us. That's why when one comes in contact with the representative of God, the seer of the truth, and with unflinching faith, follow his instruction, then he will succeed. And what is that success? To be pleasing to God. Understand? So, we have this great opportunity, transcendental opportunity, to come in contact with Parampara, the descending process coming from the Supreme Person. So you don't need to struggle anymore to believe, to join, to follow. But rather, what we should do is listen. Because the truth will set us free. It will purify us from ignorance. And by following the truth, which is connected with our eternality, connected with our true transcendental position and function as eternally the loving servant of God, we connect what we're longing for, the shelter we're looking for, the Supreme Person. He reveals himself to us. But we must have this faith, unflinching faith. And with this unflinching faith to follow the instruction, especially the chanting of the holy names, the Sankirtan movement, which Lord Chaitanya introduced, that is ongoing in the spiritual world by Kunta. So you can see the life of the devotees. It's not about cruelty. It's not about feeling higher, but it's about compassion. It's about caring. It's about comfort of having refuge. It's about the happiness of one's heart and seeing others who are unhappy and helping them to become connected with the source of happiness. That's why what we can do to please the Supreme Person, use this body to glorify Him, to chant the holy names. No other thing. In this age of Kali Yuga, that is the process. So you don't need to join. All what you have to do, you don't need to believe, because the Supreme Person will be the one to purify you, connect you. When you follow filially, faithfully, the instruction of the spiritual master. He who has unflinching faith in the instruction of the spiritual master, that is God's mercy, that's God's love. And it is shown by Lord Chaitanya when he was given the instruction to chant the holy names. Lord Chaitanya, playing the role of ordinary person, chanted the Harinama. So that's what we must always be focusing our time, our mind, everything. Because in that way, we will be always under the care and protection of the Supreme Person. And it is about faith. What is faith all about? It's not just belief. It is when we listen and apply carefully the instruction, we realize the truth. Realize. We understand who we are. We can watch the mind. We can see this body. We can see now, understand the difference between matter and life. And then we can see what leads us to suffering, what leads us to freedom. And we have now a choice, a platform, a foundation. And that foundation is doing the will of God. And the cause for suffering is when we try to do our own will and to be alone, to try to dominate material nature. And we can now see in ourselves how we can direct the mind for our spiritual benefit, which is rendering devotional service to the Supreme Person, giving everything. Actually, it belongs to Him, but He's happy in His pleasure when we engage in rendering devotional service to Him. And in this age, we all are advised to sing the glories of the Supreme Person. Because when we sing the glories of the Supreme Person, it connects us with Him, it purifies our heart, and cuts off the shackle of the false ego. This anchor, this false ego, we come to our natural ego, our natural state, and with the wisdom, we can now be guided with our true transcendental position and function to be engaging in the pleasure of rendering service to the Supreme Person. And that's what fulfilling, that is what is eternal. So the more we make progress in spiritual life by hearing and applying the teachings of the spiritual master, everything becomes clear. We begin to see. So we don't need to believe. All what we have to do is sit down, listen to the teachings of the Supreme Person, because it will purify our heart, our consciousness, and we will be established in our eternal, transcendental nature as eternally the loving servant of God. And our activities will be simply a focus on how to do the will of God. So it means we override the mind. The mind will be directed by us. And the direction will be God's direction. The mind is very powerful. The senses are very strong. You know? But when we take shelter of the holy names, we become successful. Understand? Is it clear to you? So, pag may tinanim, alam mo, parang kayo, di ba? Nagtanim kayo ng buto ng mangga. Hindi namang paggising nyo, ganyan nakalaki yung mangga. Pero si Krishna, pwede niyang gawin yun. Sa Pastimes ni Lord Chaitanya, tinanong niya yung mga devotees, what fruit do you want to eat? Mango. So immediately, there's a mango seed and it grew. All the fruits are there. Seedless mango. With God, He can do everything. Seedless mango with this inconceivable power. So, all of us, if you analyze carefully, lahat tayo, we're looking for joy and happiness. Continual joy. Nobody wants to suffer. Why not connect our lives with the source of joy, who is transcendental to this miserable world? And because you're transcendental, your life, the reason all of us are suffering, we identify with the source of suffering. You think you're the body. The body gets old, it dies, gets diseased, gets hurt, and you identify with the source of suffering. Why not use this body to offer everything to please God? That's why open your mouth and chant the holy names so you can hear the holy names. You come down to the temple, associate, and hear the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So the focus now is about Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And because Krishna is absolute, He's the source of everything, spiritual or material. He's the Supreme Lord. He is the sustainer, the Supreme Father, the cause of all causes. What you see here. All what we have to do is enter that world under the guidance of His loving servant. He opens that door. And that door, the key is the chanting of the holy names to enter that world. So when one comes to the point wherein we have unalloyed pure devotion to the Supreme Person, then the spiritual master is very pleased because we are successful in pleasing the Supreme Person. So the focus of our life is to simply please our spiritual master. And what does he want? Love Krishna. Serve Krishna. And when he sees us making progress, he's happy and he blesses us. He blesses us. That's why the spiritual master is the most merciful. Like Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya. They come to pick us up. But how can they pick you up when you're floating like the balloon? How to be picked up? We must have this humbleness, like Jagad and Madana, feeling I'm lost. So how can you be picked up if you're swell-headed, you're not obedient, you're arrogant, you think you know it all, and your mind is directed upon the wind of the three modes of material nature? You're like a balloon floating. The balloon must be anchored, pulled down to be picked up by Lord Chaitanya. And it can be done when you offer your chanting, your heart, in chanting the holy names. Haribol Namaste. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayana
Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaurabhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaurabhakta
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krishna
Madana Mohana
Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krishna
Madana Mohana
Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krishna
Madana Mohana
Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krishna
Madana Mohana
Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krishna
Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krishna
Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krishna
Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Krishna
Madana Mohana
Krishna
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Gopala Govinda Rama
Haribol Nitai Gaur Haribol Haribol
Gopala Govinda Rama Madana Mohana
Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Krishna
Jaya Jaya Gauranga
Krishna
Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Krishna
Jaya Jaya Gauranga
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gauranga Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gauranga
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada
Krishna
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada
Krishna
Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda
Krishna
Ananda Paramahamsa
Krishna
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Ananda Paramahamsa
Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa
Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate
Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prestayate
Haribol Nitai Gaur